Today, I'm going to show you guys how to paint your motorcycle rims. Step number one, always remember your protection. It's also really handy to have these motorcycle stands for the front ones and for the rear. They'll help you a whole lot and get the wheels off the ground. I have decided on starting on the front wheel. So these two bolts that hold this caliper in, this is a 12 millimeter on a Kawasaki Ninja. Just go ahead and loosen that up with your tool. After removing these two bolts, the caliper should just slide right out, hopefully. And while you're at it, you can inspect your brake pads to make sure everything's still good in them. On the opposite side of the wheel, you have this axle nut on here. So you can just undo that, and then the axle should slide right out. So off camera, I added pieces of plywood on either side of the stand because if I were to take this out, it would just hit on the stand itself. So when you're at this point, you can play around with the wheel a bit to try to get it loose. So you can just lift it up or move it around, and then you can push the axle out on the other side. And then you should be able to just pull it out from here. And there's that. Now the wheel should just pull straight out. On the rear wheel, I have to take off the muffler first. So this would be the 14 mil, and then this is an 11 mil that I have to remove. Once this is off, I have access to the brake caliper behind it. After you have removed the muffler, under there is two size 6 hex bolts. So it's a little annoying to get it through this, but it's manageable. You just get an extension, put your socket on, and really push it in there, and they should come right out. After removing the two bolts on the bottom, this caliper should just slide right over it, just like that. Now you can try not to let it hang by the lines because it may damage it, so get something that it can hang or sit onto. And I decided while I'm back here, I might as well break loose this axle bolt. So for my bike, it's just a 15/16. Goes on pretty nice. And then just break that loose and just start undoing it. On the back of the swing arm, there are two bolts. So there's a 12 millimeter and then a 14 millimeter on the inside. So this adjusts the wheel front or backwards so you can adjust its chain tension. So on both sides, make sure you do it evenly and then move the tire off so the chain is able to come off. So when you've gotten to the point where these are all the way back and the chain is at the loosest that it can be, that's when you start to undo the axle nut so that you can pull out the whole axle and you move the whole wheel forward. So there's two ways to paint this rim. You can either do the whole rim and then the inside of the sprocket area, or you can do the whole rim and just leave the sprocket area not painted. If you are going to do the sprocket area, you're going to have to remove these bolts. These are all 14 millimeter bolts. Since I'm not going to be painting that, all I'm going to do is just lift this whole sprocket up and then just tape over this just so it doesn't get full of paint. On the other side of the wheel, you have the brake rotor. So this is a size 6 Allen. So you can remove them and then you can get easy access to inside there to paint also. This will be the exact same as the front wheel. So once you got all the bolts out, this should just come right out. And then you can tape all of this or whatever you don't want to paint. You can just start putting your tape around all the edges. This is what it's supposed to sort of look like if you have all the areas taped up. I'm also going to go ahead and start taping up this wheel just by the edge of the rim because I definitely don't want to get paint on the wheel. So, here we are. So off camera, as you can see, I did some prep work. So I taped around the edges here of the tire And also on this part, I'm going to put rags across just because I don't want any overspray to come into it. And then I did tape all of the areas that I don't want to be painted, obviously. And then I'm also going to be taping this valve stem at some point. And then I did hang it up just so it's a lot easier and you can turn the wheel and it'll just be a lot easier to paint. But if you don't have that, don't worry, it won't be a problem. Now it's for the cleaning part. So what I do is I take some rubbing alcohol, just this stuff, and then just on a rag, I just put some of that on it, and then I have to get all the grease off. Especially for the rear wheel, since your chain is on it, it'll be throwing a lot of grease around everywhere. Your front wheel won't be as bad, but it'll still be pretty dirty. So just clean everything up for now. What I use is this sponge sandpaper. This is good because it can get in all of the little areas that you need to. Um, you're going to start sanding the entire rim. Not too much, just enough to scuff up the surface so the paint can stick to it. Now that you have sanded your entire rim, there's still a lot of residue left on this now, and you can paint on this. So I use some rubbing alcohol, put some on a cloth, and just start cleaning everything. The entire rim has to be clean, or else the paint won't stick to it. So I got my paint from a website called Scratches Happen. So they have paint match cans like this. You can put in the either a car or like a motorcycle or something. It also comes with clear coat, and then they match the color from your car. So you put in the year, the make, the model, and they give you a list of colors. This is Kawasaki green, as you can see there. And then I'm going to start by giving it really thin layers. So I'm going to do more than one layer. You don't want any runs, and then stay like a good distance back from the wheel just so it doesn't put it on too thick. So I'll just start doing some thin layers here. And now you just do this for the entire wheel. Finish your first coat and then let it dry for a few minutes. And then you can do your second and third ones, and you can make them gradually a little heavier. So this is what it looks like after a few coats of that paint. It's not bad, but I've run out, so I need to get some more. But yeah, I think this is 3 coats. I would give it a few more and then put a clear coat on. So I've given this about 4 layers of green paint. Now after you wait for it to dry for a bit, you can start by applying your clear coat. I'm happy with how this looks. So same as the normal paint, you want to start with a few layers of clear coat. Make sure to get it evenly on there, and you can start with thin layers first, then work your way up to thicker layers. 3 or 4 coats should do it. I just finished putting on my last layer of clear coat. It was a bit of a heavier layer than the last ones were because it's like a nice final finish. So what I like to do while everything is still wet, I begin peeling off all the tape pieces. I do this while it's wet because usually it can peel off the paint that you've already put on, and you don't want that to happen. I take a flathead screwdriver or something sharp that I could shove in places so that I can get the tape free. And then I just begin peeling all of the tape back. So after all the tape has been peeled off, this is the finished product. It actually looks really good. I am pretty happy with it. So I would just leave these 2 here, let them dry overnight, and then install them in the morning again. So it has been a full 24 hours or more. So while everything is off the bike, I take some extra time, take all of the hardware pieces, just clean everything up. So what I use is I have some steel wool here, and I just use it to clean all of the metal parts. This is the before, and this is the after. I'm going to start by carefully putting back your brake rotor. Starting on the front, put the wheel back in. Be sure to get all of your spacers in. You can start putting the axle in. And then you can begin by putting your washer on this end and then your castle nut. And then be sure to follow your manufacturer's torque spec for this and tighten that up. The front axle nut is torqued to 65 foot-pounds. So let's do that. There we go. That's good. You can reinstall your front brake caliper with your 12mm bolts. There we go. That's good. The rear wheel is going to be similar to the front one. First, you can start by reinstalling your brake rotor. That's good. On the other side, you can put your sprocket back in. Just push this in like this. You can now start by reinstalling everything back into the rear wheel.